Welcome back to Spa, where Kimi Räikkönen has notched back-to-back victories here in the Belgian Grand Prix. 10 points for him ahead of Fernando Alonso. Jenson Button also on the podium third, Mark Webber fourth, then Barrichello in the Ferrari, Villeneuve in the Sauber, Ralf Schumacher and Montero in eighth. So the Drivers' Championship looks like this with 3 races to go. Fernando Alonso 25 points clear now. Then Michael Schumacher, who failed to finish today, Montoya, Trulli, Fisichella, Ralf Schumacher, Barrichello and Jenson Button up into 9th. The constructors looks like this. Renault still on top, and then it is McLaren. Well, Tony, we expected to see drama. We saw that. We expected the rain, but perhaps the biggest difference was the rain didn't come, and still the drama did.
Because of those fickle conditions, because the rain's hanging in the trees, it was still so damp. It's been raining most of the weekend, it was still there. Wet, dry, wet, dry. The people who tried the dry tyres, off they went, starting with Ralf Schumacher. Michael Schumacher coming back in and having to put, the wet tyres on again.
Now, Giancarlo Fisichella, they wanted him to get in between the McLarens and work well. He started overtaking well, and then it all went wrong.
Exactly what we said at the beginning. He had to get up there from 13th position on the grid. He'd gone past David Coulthard. He went past Massa. He pulled his way up through, and he was doing extremely well. Then he did a Villeneuve and a Zonta from 1999 in qualifying, up over the top of Eau Rouge, through the compression. Look, he's already out of shape. He's hit the line on the inside and all the way to outside. That is a massive thump at 170 miles an hour.
Now, the tyre choice was vital, as you hinted at there, and when people chose to change them.
Of course, absolutely, and that's why the advantage was for the front runners to see the midfield guys coming in and changing to the dry tyres or staying on the intermediates to see if they worked. But the intelligent, clever drivers, people like Jenson Button, realised that as the tyres were wearing down the intermediates, that they were actually getting the grip as the dry line started to increase on the way round. But, this was all about the intelligence of the teams, the spotters out on the track, and everybody was on their wits' end, really.
If it had rained more, perhaps we would have seen more of Michael Schumacher. As it was, Sato ended his race.
Well, Michael Schumacher had got up to 5th, and let's not forget that this time last year he secured his 7th World Championship here on 700th Ferrari appearance. It all goes wrong at the restart and the tangle with Sato. Clearly Sato's fault. It's going to be investigated, so we will see what happens. Deep into La Source there, they tangle yet again. But this is the telling thing afterwards, when Michael Schumacher got out and smacked him on the top of the head.
OK, let's now hear from the podium drivers.
Kimi, you were there in the end, but it was a difficult day, difficult conditions, and of course, at one point, trailing in 3rd place there behind Ralf Schumacher.
Yeah, after the pit stop, when the safety car came in, we stopped and changed the tires, put fuel in. So Ralf was quite a bit lighter because he didn't stop. So I didn't push beginning because the tires would have gone really bad straight away. So I tried to look after the tires, and then finally when it started to dry up, my tires were in very good condition, and I was able to start pushing, and I was catching up the rest very, very quickly, and it was good.
Well, yeah, you were spectacularly quick when Juan Pablo went in, fastest lap after fastest lap, and leading by 6 seconds when you came out from your pit stop.
Yeah, unfortunate for the team that whatever happened in the last few laps, that we couldn't have 1-2 because we deserve it, and we had a perfect race for the team, but we are very unlucky what happened. So I was happy with the car and everything how it went, but we should have deserved to have both cars on the podium.
How did you pace the early laps of the race when you were following Juan Pablo?
We have the decision that we don't want to race against each other too much because it's not point as long as we can pull away from the rest, and we see what happens in the end of the race then. But I was quicker at one point, and then we stopped, and then he was very quick on after the restart, and I couldn't follow them. But then I also tried to look after the tires, and I catch them up in the end. But I think so it was different way of driving, and maybe different setup. So it was slightly different speed on a different point of the race.
Well, congratulations on another great victory. Fernando, turning to you. in the background somewhat most of the day, but right there at the end, scoring the second place that, of course, is very critical to your championship target.
Yes, it's good. The conditions were really difficult today for everybody, so we have a competitive car. We don't need to risk at this point of the championship, so the weather conditions was not a help this morning, because I think a normal result is better for us than a fantastic race like we saw today, but sometimes it can be good, sometimes can be bad. So we did do our race, our maximum, try to do mistakes. The car was moving a lot in the high-speed corners, the rear end. I think Fisi had the same problem as me, obviously, because he had a problem in turn 3. So I really just back off and try to take points at home, and the second place is much better than I expected.
At that first pit stop, under safety car conditions, we saw a number of drivers trying dries and then coming back in again for intermediates. Did that thought cross your mind?
Yeah, every stop we did, the dry was a little bit of a conversation in the radio 2 or 3 laps before the pit stop, but I think we did the right thing to do. Was no time to risk, I think, in this part of the championship for us, so we just tried to keep in the safe side.
And the intermediates proved to be very good over the full Grand Prix distance.
Yeah, it was perfect. I think we have to say thanks to Michelin, all the Michelin drivers, because we started the race with quite wet conditions, we finished with quite dry conditions, and in both cases we were extremely quick, so they did a fantastic job from last year to this year.
And then Juan Pablo made it easy for you at the end of the race.
Yeah, again I had some help from McLaren, and I was able to take 2 more points. It was not really important. The third place was perfect for me, but the second even better.
Congratulations. Jenson, congratulations on your 7th consecutive finish in the points, and first points ever for BAR Honda here at a circuit that's not been too kind to the team in the past.
No, and I didn't think it was going our way at the start of the race either. I was really struggling on that first stint with oversteer. I didn't even need to turn into the corners. The rear end was coming around. But after the first stop, we adjusted the wing. Went out on slicks, which was obviously the wrong choice. Came back in and put intermediates on, and the car was working very well. So it was nice to be able to catch up to the leaders in the last few laps.
Stunning race for Jenson. He's done well.
Oh, fantastic, because when he first came here, he was 3rd on the grid, beating Michael Schumacher, and he was 5th on his debut here. So to get his first podium of the year, his last one was China last year, and his second. Great heart for Jenson Button.
Huge disappointment here to see Montoya go off again. He's done a turkey.
Well, you'd have to question his performance as a team player. He's a reluctant team player.
We questioned that beforehand, didn't we? Didn't know what he was going to do.
We said, what was he going to do? How he's going to perform? He obviously went in, they did the switch on the pit stop. We don't exactly know what happened, if it was Pete Sonia's fault or whether his fault. The fact remains that he's involved yet again in an incident after the Turkish one as well. So the 1-2 for McLaren goes back to 2000 in Australia, and they still haven't got one. They needed one for the constructors.
There's no doubting his quality, but his mindset you have to question.
He needs a very good stiff talking to by Ron Dennis. I'm sure he's going to get another one.
So what do you say about Alonso? It's come to the end of the programme. We go, right, let's look at the future world champion, because surely we are talking about the future world champion.
He's very close to it, of course he is. He's got one hand on the trophy. The other hand is just about coming around the back of the trophy, and he's going to snatch it off the top. But yet it's only 2 points. But he hasn't done it. He still has to go and try and do it in Brazil. And these here, the McLaren are saying, it's not over until it's over. What happens if he goes off and has a bit of a smash in Brazil?
But he's shown that maturity here, hasn't he?
He's shown incredible maturity. Considering that the car was behaving so badly and Fisichella couldn't handle it, he could, no problem. He was superb.
He's shown his quality. Tony, thank you very much indeed. Well, coming up on Tuesday night, it's the return of the Champions League. The group stages on Champions Tuesday. It starts on ITV2 at 7 o'clock. And Jim Rosenthal is your host as Holders Liverpool travel to Real Betis. While over on ITV1, it's Gabby is at Stamford Bridge for Chelsea against Anderlecht. And Dickie Davis follows with 50 years of the best moments of sport on ITV. Some great motor racing next weekend to enjoy as well on the Sussex Downs. It's the Goodwood Revival. Some great names there and plenty of nostalgia. Tickets in advance only. While the penultimate round of the British Touring Car Championship takes place at Silverstone, and we've highlights on ITV1 at 3:30 next Sunday. Coming up right after us, an exclusive preview of Colin McRae's return to the world rally scene ahead of next weekend's Wales Rally GB. And highlights of today's drama here in Spa can be seen on ITV1 at midnight, and we're back again in Brazil in a fortnight's time, where Fernando Alonso will have another chance to win the world title. But today belongs to Kimi Raikkonen, but time is running out.
F1 on ITV, sponsored by LG. If you'd like to know more about Formula One, the website sponsored by LG is itv.com/F1.